The Oxford English Dictionary is probably the most authoritative reference book in the English language, maybe in any language. The Oxford English Dictionary limits science to the natural and physical world. Well, that makes sense, because if you can't see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it, if you can't measure it, if you can't weigh it, if you can't calibrate it, how do you even know it's there? So that part's valid, but they want to slide into the position that if we can't see it, touch it, taste it, feel it, smell it, it's not real. And that's a big step, because this room is filled with things that you and I can't perceive tangibly. Cell phone waves, radio waves, TV waves, lines of magnetic force pointing to the North Pole. You can't discern those with your unaided natural senses. Science comes back and they say, well, we have instruments that we can detect them with. So we maintain that anything that's not detectable by the five senses with instrumentation doesn't exist and is not real. Is that true? Are you thinking right now? Are your thoughts real? Do you have people that you love? Is love real? There are concepts of justice and fairness and mercy and kindness. These are not tangible, they are real. The theory of evolution goes on the premise, on the foundation, that if it's not physical and natural, we're ruling it out. So there's no place for God in there from the beginning. If there is no God, the initial feeling of liberation, of, hey, I'm free, nobody keeping score, nobody making rules, blots out the rest of it. If there is no God, if you are an accident of nature, you don't have the same amount of value as if you're made in the image of God. You don't have much in the way of significance. You don't have much in the way of meaning. You don't have much in the way of purpose. And when trouble comes, you don't have any hope. There's nobody to hope in. It's you, and you're there by yourself. So there's a lot at stake in whether or not the theory of evolution can be trusted and needs to be authoritative in our life. The evolutionists want to say that evolution is science and science is evolution. And if you resist evolution, you're resisting science. And this works with a lot of people. They shut down because, again, it's kind of good news that there's nobody keeping score. So I kind of like it. So the theory of evolution gets away with assertions, wistful thinking, and speculations, and it's not valid. They don't have a right to do that. Let's talk about truth claims. If I say there is no God, or if I say there is a God, that's a truth claim. How can we measure it? How can we check it for validity? Let's bring it down to something normal and natural. Let's say someone says there's a Rolls Royce outside in the parking lot. That's the truth claim. Now that either corresponds to reality or it doesn't. So someone goes out and comes back in and they say, yeah, there's a Rolls Royce in the parking lot. It meets the test of correspondence. But we say, well, maybe he doesn't know what a Rolls Royce looks like. We don't really know it's there. So everybody in the building goes out and everybody says there's a Rolls Royce there. That coheres. That's a broad answer from a broad variety of sources. And so it meets the truth test. When evolution says we can explain everything apart from God and it's scientific, and if you don't believe it, then we're going to keep you on the outside. You can't be a part of the group unless you go along with it. There was a program, some of you may have seen on PBS, called Cosmos. Anybody remember the guy that did it? Carl Sagan? He opened with a trademark statement every show. He said, the universe, all that is or ever was or ever will be. That's a categorical statement that has no room for God. So, but the world believes it. As believers in God, we don't believe it, but we are considered unscientific or against science because we don't go along with it. Now, you don't need a man in a white coat to tell you what's true to a very large extent. We can go out and look at the world of nature and by observation see it has a high degree of order and organization. Don't need the man in the white coat. Well, that corresponds, the order and the organization corresponds with a mind, an intelligence, a creator God. It doesn't correspond very well to a big explosion in space. If you look further to that order and organization, we find fruitfulness and productivity corresponding as a truth claim with a mind, a creator, a God, not corresponding very well to a big explosion in space. So they're asking us to believe a lot, and there's a lot at stake. Now, we can go a step further. If we look, there is an enormous diversity of things that exist, living things, non-living things, sentient things that are aware of their existence, and plants and trees and things like that. So there is order, organization, fruitfulness, productiveness, diversity, and complexity. A mind-boggling complexity corresponding with the truth claim that is of God, of an intellect, of intelligence. Now, in addition to these things, there seems to be laws of nature so that there is a predictability. We can kind of know this, that, and the other. And we know that if you plant the seeds at the right time of year, give them the moisture, and they have the sunlight and the care, it's predictable, it's understandable. Understandable is the last thing. It's amazing to me that all of these things are intelligible and understandable and comprehensible. Some of you may have read or heard of Benjamin Franklin flying the kite and the lightning struck the key, and this proved that lightning was electricity. If Ben Franklin could walk through any of our homes today, he would be tempted to describe many things as miraculous. And in a sense it is, but they all conform to the laws of physics, and they are predictable, understandable, and dependable. All of modern technology, all of the things that you and I enjoy, are the unlocking of the laws of physics. And if you build a refrigerator this way, it will work. If you build an automobile this way, it will work. Predictable and understandable, which corresponds not to a big explosion in space, to a mind, to an intellect, to a creator God. Now, you and I, at times, we're up, at times we're down. When we're down, it's a time of spiritual warfare, and the enemy wants to sit on your shoulder and say, you know, you're really not much, and you know, you're a failure, and you know, you don't have any meaning and purpose, so why don't you just take your own life? And so we don't take it that far, but we do struggle sometimes with whether we have any meaning or value. We can put that one to rest forever. The hard disciplines, the science of ecology and environmentalism, says that everything has a purpose. Everything fits in. If you don't have a purpose, which is the conclusion from the theory of evolution, then neither does anything else. But the testimony of ecology and environmentalism says that everything has a purpose, and so do you.